Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack complex topics and pull out the really important insights.
That's right.
And today, we're diving into the agri-food sector. It's changing fast.
Really fast.
We're looking specifically at, how we're training the next leaders for this industry. This is especially for you if you're studying food engineering or biosystems engineering.
Yeah, because your world is about to look pretty different.
Exactly. So let's get into it. What's driving this change?
Well, it's massive. We're seeing this huge transformation driven by what people call Industry 4.0. Think Internet of Things, big data, AI, automation.
Drones, biotech.
All of it.
All of it. And it's not just fancy gadgets. It's fundamentally changing how farms operate, how food gets processed, how it's distributed, everything.
So it's not just learning a new piece of software. It's a whole new way of thinking.
Absolutely. You need a different kind of professional now. We looked at hundreds of job postings from big agri-food companies.
Right. And what did that show? It showed a really clear shift. Companies aren't just looking for that traditional technical know-how anymore. They need people who are comfortable in digital spaces.
People who can actually understand the data coming from all these sensors, from AI systems.
Exactly. And use tools like, Power BI, advanced Excel, things that maybe weren't emphasized quite as much 5-10 years ago. The demand for those data interpretation skills, it's surged.
Okay, so the tech is pushing this change.
Yeah.
But that creates challenges, right? What's the biggest one?
I'd say the skills gap. It's pretty critical. There's a real shortage of people who are actually equipped for this digital agri-food future.
So what skills are missing? Is it just the tech stuff?
No, that's the interesting part. Yes, the tech fluency is vital, but companies are also desperately seeking those human competencies.
You mean things like problem-solving, communication?
Yeah, exactly. Analytical thinking, definitely.
Yeah.
Good communication, strong leadership potential, being able to work in diverse teams, sometimes remotely. Adaptability is huge, too. These systems are so complex and interconnected now.
Okay, so industry needs one thing. But what about the education side? Are university programs keeping up?
Well, that's a key challenge. Many engineering programs, and they're great programs, but they still focus quite heavily on the, let's say, traditional technical skills.
Which are still important, obviously.
Of course, but they might not fully integrate things like leadership or strategic thinking or even, the bigger picture, the social and ecological side of creating sustainable food systems.
So there can be a bit of a disconnect between the classroom and what the market is actually demanding right now.
There can be, yeah. And that brings up another point, keeping you engaged.
How so?
Well, if the curriculum feels too abstract, too disconnected from the real-world problems you're going to face, it's easy to, lose interest.
Right. Or if the environment feels maybe too competitive or you don't feel connected to the faculty.
Exactly. Those things matter. We need learning that feels relevant, connected to this dynamic industry you're heading into. Otherwise, some students might, unfortunately, just leave the field.
Okay, so given all the tech changes, the skills gap, the curriculum challenges, what can you, as a student right now, actually do? What are some practical tips?
Good question. First, I'd say really focus on building a hybrid skill set. Don't see it as either.
So technical and soft skills.
Absolutely. Get strong on the analytical side, develop that digital fluency, understand data, systems integration, maybe even some basic programming. But just as important, work on your leadership, your communication, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence. Companies really want that combination.
Makes sense. What else?
Embrace systemic thinking and think globally. As engineers, you're already dealing with complex systems.
Yeah.
Stretch that. Try to see the whole agri-food value chain, from the farm right through to the consumer, as one interconnected system. Think about the social impacts, the environmental ones, the ethics.
And the global part.
Yeah. The sector is global. Understanding different cultures, different international contexts, that's a huge advantage. It really is.
Okay, hybrid skills, systemic thinking. What's the third piece?
Get real-world experience and start early. Don't wait until your final year project.
Like internships.
Internships, yes, but also problem-based projects in your courses. And I really want to emphasize undergraduate research here.
But isn't research just for people going on to PhDs or people who already know a lot?
That's such a common myth.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Your curiosity is honestly your best tool for research. Getting involved lets you apply theory. It sparks creativity. You build relationships with faculty, and you tackle real, messy engineering problems, the kind you don't find in textbooks.
That sounds incredibly valuable.
It really is.
So wrapping this up then, The future of agri-food, it really needs leaders like you listening, people who can connect the dots, right, between the field and the digital world.
Yeah, people who understand both production processes and algorithms, who can take all this data we're generating and actually turn it into smart, impactful decisions.
Your engineering degree, whether it's food or biosystems, it's not just about learning the technical stuff anymore. It's about preparing you to lead a pretty significant transformation.
Mm-hmm. A necessary one.
So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. How are you going to use your unique skills? Not just to tweak the systems we already have, but to actually rethink them. To lead the way in building an agri-food future that's, more sustainable, more equitable, and truly innovative for everyone.
That's the big question.